receivers of revenue. Now, because of time, Governor, you are consuming wrong advice. This is the 47th county that we are dealing with. Your CEC cannot purport to sign the receiver of revenue statement. All other counties have one receiver of revenue. The rest are collectors of revenue. The fact that the word persons has been used in that act does not legitimize the kind of chaos that your CEC is proposing. In fact, many of the counties that have succeeded in improving on-source revenue have established revenue boards. They have designated a receiver of revenue, and even the Assembly has processed legislation to give further effect to the PFM Act and PFM regulations. When your CEC is the one who signs as the receiver of revenue, it's like William Ruto signing for Attorney General because he's the appointing authority. That is utter chaos. And that is why we cannot make sense of this statement. Now, who then takes responsibility if you have multiple receivers of revenue? Where does the buck stop, Governor?
Chair, let me have our attorney maybe help us out in the way we understood this thing, so that if it's a matter of legality, then we can be guided.
Listen,
we
Governor,
can be guided.
You see, I'm trying to be very moderate in today's session because we have not just come to grill you, we have also come to share experiences from the other counties. That situation, and if your county attorney insists on it, it is wrong advice. It is a recipe for chaos. Because tell me, as CEO, if you have 20 receivers of revenue, who are you going to hold responsible for this report? You have been put in an embarrassing situation where you cannot explain movements. You have to refer to 10, 20 people to explain one page of a report. And that is why other counties have one receiver of revenue designated in writing by the CEC Finance. When the CEC Finance takes on the role of being the receiver of revenue, that is an indication that there's a criminal enterprise being run in that county, being coordinated and being led by the CEC Finance. And that is why they want to be the policymaker, they want to be the executor, they want to be the oversight, they want to be everything. They do not trust anybody else to come and see how revenue collection is being done. And Governor, and I'm not saying it is happening in Busia, we have seen it in other counties. That only happens to cover up theft.
Can I explain
Chair,
something,
allow us here to ventilate on
Can
that
I clarify?
issue.
Okay, maybe you can get the submissions from the members first. And then
Let's ventilate on that issue, Chair. I want to understand from, no, not the governor, because the governor clearly just being misled. That's exactly what's happening, just being misled. I want to understand from the CEC. Once the law designates a responsibility to you, and that responsibility is specific, you are told, appoint. What residue function do you have after the appointment? You've been told to appoint a receiver of revenue. What role in receiving revenue is left in your office? If that can be answered, I'll be very happy. I want to know, because the law is, she has read the law to us. She has been told to appoint in writing. So after you have appointed in writing, what role is left for you to execute in the office of the receiver of revenue?
Chair, in addition, so that the governor can answer both, there was wisdom in the drafting of the Public Finance Management Act, the regulations and section specifically, was to provide for the oversight and governance structure in terms of revenue. And that is why the CCM Finance was given power to appoint the county receiver, so that it is easy for her or him to ensure oversight and governance structure in terms of receiver of revenue. So I don't know, and you know they say in law there is no excuse in ignorance of the law, that maxim. So the point I'm trying to make, Chair, is either the CCM misled the governor, or the governor allowed himself to be misled, or the governor ignored the advice. Because the law is very clear, Governor, that the CCM should By the time, because these issues that have been raised on the issue of that has been collected under ONSO's revenue, where your revenue potential is more than 2 billion, but you are collecting 357, of course, inclusive of hospital, which we have passed the law under FIF, should have been addressed, should have drawn a concern for you, that the CCM, Madam Topista Naiti Wanyama, was signing a county receiver of revenue. Yet she should be the one setting up the governance structures and appointing people. And the law is very clear, it says, shall. If it said may, we would have allowed her to get away with.
Thank you, Chair, if you allow me.
Governor?
Yeah, and Chair, maybe just for clarity, if we had allowed our county attorney to say something, and then I will also be able to explain our governance structure when it comes to this. Because what we currently have, as you have been reading, we have CEC finance, but then we have got chief officers in various departments who are basically also designated as accounting officers. And then on the side of revenue, we also have got a director of revenue. So if you are just allowed us, because that's the structure that we have, if you are allowed us, maybe just our county attorney to say something so that then we'll be able to see maybe the way we have configured our government vis-a-vis what you are saying, there could be some issues. But that is the way we have configured our government, that we have a CC, they designate. In fact, there are two designated functions to the chief officers, the authorized officer and an accounting officer. And then those roles are given to them on behalf of the treasury. Now, within the same treasury, we have got, in our structure, in our establishment, we have got director of revenue. Now, we have also been toying, or rather ventilating, on going the way you are talking about, having revenue boards. And I think we have even drafts on what we need to do to go that route. So if we just allowed, because it seems it is an issue of interpretation of the law, maybe just to see what our county attorney was able to guide us on vis-a-vis what we are saying and the way our government is configured, so that we clear that issue, rather than being that we could have configured the government purposely, you know, not to be able to undertake the mandate that the Constitution has given us. So
I will give you a county attorney about 2 minutes, but
Okay.
that does not take us away from the fact that there are numbers here that are still not explained. Yes. That issue came up just to emphasize that that could be part of the reason why the governor is unable to explain numbers, because there are almost 20 people he has to refer to, and that is an extremely unhealthy and an unprofessional setup.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'll stick to the legal questions.
You were absent when introductions were made, so introduce yourself first.
For the record, Honorable Chair, my name is Omboko Innocent, County Attorney, Busia County. Thank you. So allow me, Chair, to just limit myself to the legality or the legal question in terms of interpretation of Section 157 of the PFM Act. My reading, Chair, and this is my legal opinion, and Chair, I reserve, the right to be wrong. Even courts sometimes are wrong, but this is my interpretation, that the use of the language in that section, a designation of receivers of revenue, it's in the head note, receivers, not receiver. In the language, in the body of that section, it says designate persons, not a person. And then it says specify in their letters, not in his or her letters. Plural all through. My view, Chair, Honorable Chair, is that there is a discretion in terms of the organization of government, whether to select one person as a receiver of revenue or to have more than one, looking at the language of that provision, Chair. That is my interpretation. If I may go a little further, Chair.
Okay, just before you
yes.
go further, is
Yes.
it also your interpretation that the appointing authority can appoint themselves as one of those receivers?
No, that's not correct.
That is a problem.
That's the problem we have.
That is a problem we are dealing with.
Well, my brother, you know,
Yeah.
we have a lot of respect for you, but we get very upset when we get people coming before the Senate trying to be clever. Because we are also very clever people. So please, don't perform legal gymnastics here. If a mistake has been made, Governor.
Chairman, I will stop.
No, just a minute. You see, the chairman has even tried to guide and said these problems occur everywhere. And the purpose of these meetings is not just to castigate or paint somebody in bad light. It is also to guide each other and say, this is what the law says. You have erred here. You can correct this by doing this. There is a reason why there has to be a designated receiver of revenue, because there are legal consequences and responsibility that is attached to the office. So, please, Governor, guide your team that...
Yeah, and Chair, that's why I was saying that because of just what he has read and the configuration of government, and that's why I thought that one of the main role of the Senate is to strengthen the institutions. So all we are saying is that if we had configured our structure in the way it is currently configured, I think we'll be taking recommendations from the Senate that maybe relook at that configuration so that it doesn't appear like, you know, it is a deliberate thing. It's just the way we interpreted it. And we are here as we interact all the time, as you always say, to improve on policies, to improve on governance issues, to strengthen institutions. So this can also be one area that we can look, that's the way I'm interpreting it, to say maybe we have been doing ABCD, we need to borrow from the recommendations, Chair, maybe we'll be guided by you, that maybe you need now to reconfigure government in a manner the way you have just said.
But
please,
before we get there, Governor,
before
we get there, on the interjection by Senator Sifuna, whether the CEC can appoint themselves as the receiver of the revenue. We have a receiver of revenue report signed by the CEC. Is this therefore a legitimate document that the OAG and the Senate should consider?
Maybe, Chair, if you allowed our county attorney just to finish how we reached there, then we can be guided.
No, I think it's tied to the question. He has agreed that the CEC cannot appoint themselves. This is a report of the receiver of revenue. Is this therefore a legitimate report that we should be considering?
Chair, and in addition, we have agreed under the law that an appointing authority cannot appoint themselves. That is why you cannot appoint yourself as a CCM finance. That is simple, so the Wakili does not need to go further.
Yeah,
so
we will stand guided by the committee.
So you and the CEC should be ready for sentencing.
You know, Chair, really, I really would have wanted to benefit from, because she seemed to be very, very firm on the role that she is playing. I really would have wanted to benefit from our understanding of the law. And it's not even a legal issue here. I really would have wanted to understand from her, what role does she think is left for her after she has designated either a receiver or receivers of revenue? What role is left in the office of the CEC Finance to execute the mandate of the office of receiver of revenue? That is an important question.
You want us to give
She was very, before you stopped her, she was really emphatic about this.
Because we are talking of legal, and he said we will stand guided.
I think his argument has reached the logical conclusion.
Correct.
Because what we were trying to establish was whether the CEC can donate to herself the power of a receiver of revenue when she's the one appointing. Because if that is the line of argument, it means that even the governor can one day sign the report of the receiver of revenue, because it's the one who appoints the CEC, and it's the CEC who designates the receivers of revenue, and therefore the governor can take charge of procurement, can take charge of collection of revenue, can take charge of everything. If that is your interpretation, we would be happy, because we'll hang you for all the sins of your officer.
Chair, maybe you just allow my county attorney to say something, then we can progress on that. Yeah.
Chair,
Okay.
Yeah, in less than a minute, Chair, Honorable Chair. Thank you. I just wanted to proceed further, Chair, and say that that was the organizational structure of government at that time. Subsequently, His Excellency, the Governor, made some adjustments in terms of reorganization of government and appointed a chief officer specifically responsible for for revenue, seated on my right. And therefore, we would be probably amenable to the suggestion that then we could now have maybe the chief officer who is now there for revenue specifically designated as a receiver of revenue.
But remember, the designation is not done by the governor, it's done by the CEC Finance.
Yes, yes.
So,
I agreed with Honorable Senator that the CEC has no residual powers once he is designated.
no. The one that you are telling us the good news, you are telling us it's even worse news. It's a further violation of the law. Why do you guys want to personalize revenue collection?
Chair,
What is it?
Let me
what is the problem?
No, let me give clarity. You see, previously, other than the CEC, the chief officer was the chief officer in charge of all those functions, receiver of revenue, what do you call it? Accounting services, you know, all economic planning, budget. So what I did, because of maybe the constraint of numbers of chief officers that we had, even the one who spoke, that is Timothy, you remember him introducing himself as a chief officer of trade and all that, but acting chief officer for revenue. So he's a chief officer for revenue. Now, the issue about receiver of revenue, as you have said, is what we need a clarity, and as I said, we are amiable to whatever suggestions or recommendations, so that we are in compliance where maybe we may have interpreted this wrongly. Because we only have a director of revenue, and we have now chief officer revenue, which was previously one position held by one chief officer. But later, I split them up, just looking at the the magnitude of work that was required, and we were not getting our way through. So that is what it is.
Chair, then does it mean then the governor then has appointed the chief officer of revenue to be the receiver of revenue? Is that what you're saying?
No.
So has he been designated by the
Now that's what we are saying.
Yeah.
From what you are saying here,
Yes.
we seem not to have gone
Designated,
further
yes.
and done that designation, as you are saying, either from the CC Finance, because we assumed, and I tend to think just the way we have interpreted the law, that once the CEC designates somebody as an accounting officer, or the Public Service Board designates somebody as an authorized officer on issues of HR, that was our understanding. That once you are designated, then all those various chief officers were purported or assumed to be receivers of revenue within their departments. In fact, a lot of times when we have been sitting, and even the way you're asking the questions, and you saw so many of them here, is because we assume that all of you, since you are the accounting officers, you are also responsible for that. And that, I think, is given by the CC Finance, not the governor.
Honorable members, the question is, do you have a feeling? Do you do you feel like the money collected from the citizens of Busia is properly reported and accounted for? That is a question we must answer. And that's why we are querying your governance arrangements, the qualifications of those who are signing the papers, and even the individual drops by line. Governor, I get the feeling that even you don't feel like it's properly reported.
That's why, Chair, we said the whole idea about Senate here is to try and improve where we feel that maybe on this one you need to strengthen, you know, your governance area. You need to reconfigure your government structure so that it can contribute towards what you are just saying. Because I've told you the way how we are currently configured. And it's the role of the Senate also, I believe, to try and help us where we think.
Governor, we can only advise, we cannot direct you on how to do your job. No. At the end of the day, you have collected money from the residents of Busia.
Yes.
So it does not matter what structures or legal advice you are getting. The key thing is, if you collect money from Mamamboga, that money should be visible here. Unfortunately, that does not seem to be the case. But I think we need to close this so that we go to expenditure. Senator Chirake?
Yes, maybe I can say, Governor, who is the CCM Finance? And maybe just one quick question, as I make an observation, as the current CCM of Finance designated county receiver at the moment. And then secondly, Chair, I agree that, so this year under review, Governor, the fact that you collected 357 million during that year against 2.2 billion, that is CRA for revenue potential. If you look at all these notes and that they've been signed off by county receiver and then CCM Finance, then it casts doubt on Chair on the presentability and this report as a whole, especially on this financial reporting. And the fact that the receiver of revenue is CPO Mbwaga Barnabas here. Oh, he's here. Are you in good standing with ISPAC? So you found it right that your boss was signing the financial statements? Through the chair? Because you have countersigned with her.
Thank you. I signed my part as a head of reporting.
So you don't advise your boss when you see something wrong? You see CM?
Well, what I can say,
Okay.
to some extent, I have to receive information.
So, Chair, just sit. So, through you, Chair, I think this was a cover-up. The intention that CCM Finance wanted to sign this financial statement is a classical case of a cover-up that looks like an organized criminal enterprise to rip off the hard paid money. Because, Governor, you and me are now, the problems we have in Kenya is because of taxation. Imagine the people of Kenya and Busia cannot trace where their money is, yet they are hardly paying those taxes because of just accountability mechanisms and governance of your CCM Finance. In fact, I doubt why you still have her as part of your team, yet he has screwed you in this process.
Yeah. I'll beg for your protection, Chair, on this one.
Something?
Senator Seki?
Yeah, thank you, Senate Chair. I just want to say, with a lot of experience in issues of devolution and counties, I've worked as a county secretary for many years, over 10 years. I've also advised counties during the transition authorities period of 2012, 2013. I think it is important that you take this advice from the Senate Committee of PAC, because it seems, Governor, you have a very big problem on how you've been advised on issues of this receive of revenue. Receive of revenue is a structure on its own. And I think I want to correct our legal counsel from your county that he needs really to go back and even seek advice from this committee and even from the legal counsel of the Senate, because you need to have a structure which is not, the receiver of revenue should not even be CEOs of within your counties, within the departments. It should be a structure within the entire government, such under the CC in charge of finance. So I think it is good that you get it right, and immediately you get a receipt of revenue. It takes charge of almost everything and report to the CC in charge of finance, so that you don't have these other problems. But these are things that we can always discuss out of the cuff.
Chair, thank you, Senator.
Chair, my request,
Senator Sifuna?
My request is, when you exit this conversation, because you have the privilege of hosting the Senate in your county. Not many counties get that privilege. I would want to hear from you, Governor. The one thing that Senate can do for you to help you with your own source revenue as we exit that conversation.
Okay, Senator Ambua?
Chair.
Then Senator Maruma?
Mine will be to the county attorney through the governor. Personally, I don't believe that the county attorney has given you the right advice, and I don't believe that he is not aware that he has not given you the wrong advice. this running of government cannot be whimsical. It cannot be what people feel or people interpret laws. I believe that somebody has deliberately, Governor, deliberately misguided you on this matter. I will not use the strong words that my friend Senator Cheragi has used, but there is very gray areas in your revenue collection. Very, very gray areas. And somebody is deliberately misadvising the office of the governor. I thank you.
Thank you. Senator Muruma, Vice Chair.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. On page 7,
We need to make progress. I'll allow you to respond to the issues raised, very brief comments, and then perhaps what Senator Sifuna has requested, so that we move to the executive report.
Chair, maybe if I start with the last one, I think in this one, the main reason between the 80 and what was collected, I think must have been silo. Huh? Yeah. This is this silo contribution, I think, where we were expecting almost 58 million out of that amount. And then the rest, the chair, I just agree with you that we need to see how best to improve. I think that was one of the main reasons for that big difference.
But
maybe I'll
notice there was a drop.
Yes, I've said, I've taken note of that, just the way you mentioned it.
Explained by the other theories that you had advanced earlier?
No, the other ones that we had on physical planning and all those are issues that I need to really delve deep into.
Okay, proceed.
Okay. So, Chair, maybe I'll just start with what Senator Seki said and finish with what Senator Sifuna had said. For Seki, I think one of the biggest problems, and it's good that you worked with, you said you had some experience with transition authority. One of the biggest problems I faced here when I came in here, you know, we didn't even have a staff establishment. We have been using those temporary arrangements of transition authority. And I'm just saying maybe it's one of the reasons we even got this issue we have just had about receiver of revenue, got it wrong, because it was not even in our staff establishment. But there was also no staff establishment. It's just now that we are having staff establishment. So I agree with you that there are a lot of areas that need to be improved. But for 10 years, almost 14 years, we have been using that transition authority thing, and you can see the way our government was configured. So I'll agree with you that there will be areas to improve. On what Senator Wambua, you said, I think I can leave it the way it is. It was a form of advisory on what needs to be done. On what Senator Sifuna has said, there are quite a number of initiatives, as I had said earlier, like the act that we stepped down. Maybe we can bring it to the Senate. You look at it, the one that had been passed by our county assembly, and maybe advise. I hope we'll be able to get a copy so that we can share with the Senate when they are still here, and look on how best we can go around some of those areas that need to be done. And to me, because of revenue collection has to come from, you know, the acts we generate through the county assembly, and then how the executive is able to execute them. I would rather that I compile whatever we have and why maybe we have been ineffective in implementing. And before you leave, we should be able to have a session and share. And the quick one is just what I said, the one that we were asked to step down, because we didn't withdraw it. It is still active, but we were just told, you know, it seems to be contravening some international treaties. Please step it down until we do further consultation. So part of the consultation we can do is when the Senate is here. Thank you.
Yeah, I think maybe as an advice is, and perhaps you need to direct your team, is that you as a governor, you are the one who is elected. You are the one who talks to the people.
Yes.
And it must be clear to the market woman that when she pays 20 shillings for market access fee, that money finds itself in the accounts of the county and comes back to improve the market. This conversation you have had here, some people might interpret it to mean that that money does not reach where it's supposed to reach. And I think that you have a responsibility to ensure there is that transparency and accountability for every shilling that is collected. We are loud at talking about corruption at the national government, but people feel corruption at the county government more than the one in Nairobi. So please make sure that there are no hints and no perceptions that you are taxing a boda rider, a market trader, a truck driver, and then that money disappears in a conversation around receiver of revenue. Those are the things that make devolution look bad.
Yeah.
So,
but Chair, you'll also see, just like you had said earlier, in subsequent years, we are improving bit by bit. And I tend to think as we continue to have these conversations, we are going to be improving. But because there is always an improvement on what we have been doing.
Governor, your officers owe you some technical explanation, because the Auditor General has told us they're already on the ground. Your own source revenue is at about 500 million now. Why? Because of two things: hospital fees and the new basis of accounting. It is not true growth. So if they are telling you that you have collected 500 million and you should be happy, put them, and you know, you're a man who has been in all levels of government. The only thing you haven't been is president. You must ask that question. Do not go proclaiming you have collected 500 million before you have interrogated. Some people will steal from the public and then tell you that you have grown because we have gone to accrual basis of accounting. So please, before you pronounce it, interrogate it. Members, can we proceed to the report on the executive? On the report on the executive, the opinion of the Auditor General was, OAG, what was your opinion?
Qualified Chair.
Now, on that report, the Senate attempted to come up with recommendations, but we made recommendations on the basis of written submissions, because, Governor, you did not appear before this committee to explain measures taken or to respond to the issues that were raised by the Auditor General. I think at this point, because this is a matter that came up at a past meeting that we had with the Auditor General, the senator from Busia, Senator Okoiti Omtata, had raised concerns about the report of the Auditor General for the financial year 2022-2023. The senator went ahead and wrote to the Auditor General asking the OAG to expand has scope of audit to cover a few issues. One of the issues the senator wanted interrogated for lawfulness and efficiency was construction of the governor's lounge. The other one were allegations of mispropriety in award of contract to WebTribe. The other one was procurement of a refrigerated truck. The other one was on beautification of Busia. The other one was on medical supplies, alleged fraudulent procurements leading to the lack of medical supplies to county hospitals. Then there was an issue on hire of dredgers from Uasin Gishu. There was an issue on pending bills and an issue on interest management. Now, the reason why I raise that, because that letter was properly served on this committee, properly served on the Auditor General, and properly served on the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. We have already discussed this, so I just want very, very quickly the OAG to give us an update on how that matter was dealt with and whether those issues are in this report, and maybe EACC to give us an update so that we don't brush that letter aside, and then now we can go to the substantive report. OAG.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.